buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fun, and this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the interwebs at michaeldukeshow.com, where you'll find the audio-only live stream, and also, of course, where we simulcast the radio show every morning on the socials of Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. That's what we do here this morning as we're getting ready to go. How you guys doing? You ready? You ready for Friday? I am ready for Friday, especially a post-election Friday, and I've got some deeper analysis here on some of the things that I am or was concerned about and have raised concerns about in the past. I have been doing some reading, and then I was watching Colio Noir. Who, for those of you who don't follow him on YouTube, he's always got some really interesting analysis, and he had a piece on YouTube here from just a couple days ago. Let me look to see what the title. I forgot to pull the title down so that I could so that you could go out and watch the whole thing. He always does it in nice little bite-sized chunks, about 9 minutes or so. 8-9 minutes for each one, and that makes it really nice to be able to just go through and take a look at it. What Trump's return means for the Second Amendment, it made me think a little bit deeper about some of the positives, and there's one positive in there that I think is going to probably trump all the other ones. Pardon the pun. But I believe that there is one in there that is definitely going to trump all the other ones. And we're going to talk about that this morning, a little bit later on in the program. Waiting right now for our guest to be joining us. We're expecting Yehuda Remmer to be coming in here in just a moment. He, of course, for those of you who have been following him on Instagram, like I have for the last couple of years, goes by the moniker of the Pew Pew Jew. He said that on his website, he says that began as a fun moniker. It was given to him by some of his non-Jewish friends. He's an Orthodox Jew in the gun industry, as he was chronicling his journey into that industry. He's the author of several books, including Safety On, an introduction into the world of firearms for children. And he's appeared on numerous TV and radio shows, podcasts, and then eventually decided to embrace the whole Pew Pew Jew thing, and is now attempting to dispel the notion that all Jews are anti-gun. And he lives with his wife and his kids in Texas, which, again, there you go. I mean, that pretty much says it all right there. So we'll be watching that here here in just a minute. He should be joining us any second now, as we go through and and talk about this. Okay. All right. Where was I? I was going to go ahead and post a link up to the, maybe somebody already did here, but I'll post it anyway. This is the latest link here to that piece from Coleon Noir that you can find over there on YouTube. Also coming up in hour 2, we will be visiting with Top Shot Chris Cheng. He'll be calling in from the People's Republic of California, and we'll go through some post-election analysis with him as well. It's a I got to admit that the first day I was kind of just a little bit, and then the next day I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of." I'm thinking about this, and then today I'm not quite giddy, but I'm feeling pretty good about this. Because although we would have survived if Kamala Harris had been elected president, I have a feeling that at least we've got a much better chance of survival at this point, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. And there's a lot of things going on out there for people, and maybe, just maybe, I've been watching the stock market. The reaction from the stock market is very positive. And I think, I think this is a good turning point for us. And I'm excited to see where this may go. Now, I'm cautiously, excited maybe is not the right word. Cautiously optimistic would probably be the better word for that. And we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm kind of excited. And especially now that I actually slowed down a little bit yesterday and took a few minutes because I wanted to kind of analyze where I thought this election was going to affect gun rights. I wanted to know exactly, what. Okay, so I hadn't taken the time to really sit down and take a look at it, and I'm like, what with gun rights? What is going to go on here? How is it going to happen? And again, I'm cautiously optimistic. Because again, President Trump, we knew, the bump stock ban, right? He signed the bump stock ban. He got up in the face and said, after Parkland, he said, we'll take away the guns and worry about due process later. There are some troubling things in his past, but he's also done some really great things. And I think we have an opportunity here to maybe, just maybe, put in place some protections for the gun culture that could last for at least a generation here. And so we'll see what goes on. But I just kind of wanted to share with you that it's not an epiphany, but I'm feeling, again, cautiously optimistic to see which way things are going and where we're going with this. All right. I'm just checking my phone because I'm looking to see. Okay. All right. Well, let me see if he. We texted each other here, so let me verify that everybody has been invited and okay. Okay. All right. Well, I guess since I don't see him quite yet and I haven't heard back from his text message, we'll proceed on to some of the stories that I have kind of saved up here this morning and see if we can proceed on without it. If he doesn't come in this morning, if there's a confusion or there's a problem, we may push him to next week. But I've been looking forward to this interview all week, so fingers crossed that we're able to do it. Post Donald Trump sweeping victory, gun control groups admit that they are crushed and devastated by the Trump victory. So says Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms. He's got some articles up here, some screenshots of some of the X and social media posts from places like Moms Demand Action, which I find ironic that these places who are so oh, Elon Musk is the devil and disinformation and all this kind of stuff. And yet they're still blithely out on X every day, posting and putting things up and doing. If Musk was really the misinformation, I mean, he would shut all your accounts down, right? If that's who he really was. I mean, come on, that's crazy. Anyway, Moms Demand Action put out a tweet, or what do they call it now? It was Twitter, but is it still a tweet because it's X, or is it a Zeet? What is it? What are you? Anyway, Moms Demand Action put out a post that said, "Nothing will stop us from fighting for the safety of all of our kids. We've been beaten up again and beaten Trump's. We've been up against and beaten Trump's extremist agenda before, and we'll do it again. If the work has taught me anything, it's no matter what, we always can and will secure victories to protect our communities from gun violence. This obstacle is no different. Today, we're crushed by this result. Tomorrow, we're going to continue to organize like our lives depend on it, because they do." Okay. I mean, again, has anybody looked at the statistics for what's going on with gun violence and overall gun crime? Oh, yeah, it's declining. Okay, I just wanted to point that out, that it's still declining. Everytown for Gun Safety, meanwhile, declared Trump's win devastating to their agenda. This is devastating. The gun safety movement has faced countless setbacks, but when it comes to the number one killer of kids, what? The number one killer of kids? How is the... No, that's not true. That is not the number. More kids drowned in a bucket than... Anyway, nothing will stand in our way. No, make no mistake, Trump's extremist agenda is a danger for our nation. But it means we'll double down on our efforts to protect our communities and continue to make progress, just like we did in 2016. The momentum of the gun safety movement can't be stopped. Notice how it's now a gun safety movement. It's not a gun control movement, because that moniker doesn't sell. It's a gun safety movement. Gun violence isn't a left or right issue. It's a life or death issue. We can and will overcome this together. And of course, then they've got a fundraising link at the bottom. Because they're going to use it to raise funds. I mean, come on. That's what this is about, right? In the long run, you're out there trying to, give us some money, baby. Give us the money. I mean, it's all right. You got me. You got me on this. Whatever, Oh, anyway, so they're already, crying and whining about this. Even in the gun grabbers at Brady, though, they did try to put a brave face on it. They said, "We've weathered storms before and we'll do so again. Even during Trump's first presidency, we preserved critical gun safety measures and held the line in our fight against the gun lobby. While we didn't get the results we wanted, this fight is bigger than one person." Which is true. This fight is much bigger than one person. It takes all of us to help protect our Second Amendment, God-given inalienable rights. It only takes one person to try and take them away, but it takes more than one person to push it forward. All right, we're up against the break, so we're going to continue here. I have a sneaking suspicion that Yehuda may have had a conflict or something didn't go right, so we'll find out here what's going on. I'll see if I can track this down during the break, and we'll continue. Hour 1, we got more headlines. Hour 2, Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, plus Willie Waffle, our weekend movie review. That's all coming up. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Back with more right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, good morning, my friends. WK Sears over on Rumble says, quit selling murder weapons, sell protection guns only. Yeah, exactly. Just sell protection guns. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard this morning, or is this a Facebook thing? Because I can't see anyone's name this morning. Let me go back over here, refresh this page, see if there's something going on. Okay, I can see it there. But for some reason, like somebody, see, this is there's like a whole screen full of Facebook users. I don't know who wrote this. This is the fourth day in a row for Tony. I know that Tony just said something about it's the ADHD and Adderall talking this morning. I don't know what's going on, but both Rumble and YouTube are giving me names, but Facebook is not. I don't know what is happening here. I am live. Everything's going well, but I can't see who. I can read all the comments, but I can't actually see who's posting them. So I don't, you know what? You guys talk amongst yourself for a minute. I'm going to see if I can fix this. How about that? I'm going to see if I can fix this. I'm going to be right back. Let me try this. Okay, well, that didn't fix it. I mean, I restarted everything and everything else. So I'm just going to start posting the comments that I find interesting this morning, and you guys will have to tell me who said it because I can't see it. We'll see what happens. All right. Going back here. Just checking in on Rumble, says Rick. Hello, Rick. I can see you over there. I don't know. Again, I can see Teresa and Fat Ray on YouTube. But every Facebook user is simply listed as Facebook user. Nope, this one right here. Still waiting on the Worthless Department of Elections. I haven't seen the latest yet. Did they update again some more? Alaska election. Let's see, when was the latest update on this? Come on. Nope, that's still the one from yesterday. So it's at like 49.55% for baggage. Somebody was just saying they heard baggage went over 50%. According to yesterday's note, it was 49.55%. All right. I'm fairly certain you can pick out mine and know that they're me, says Tony. I'm assuming, is that Tony? Because I'm going to laugh so hard if that is Tony. Yeah, it was Tony. Dang it, man, I'm so good. All right. There you go. That's it. For Mike's sake, type your name before the comment. Anthony, I like bacon type of deal. It wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
All right, welcome back. It is Firearms Friday. Yeah, baby. We love it. Firearms Friday, lots of good stuff going on out there. We were just talking about, all the whining from the anti-gun community because they're crushed and devastated by the Trump victory. Well, that's what happens. One side wins, one side loses. I don't want to do too much of a, kind of a happy dance and a rub your nose in it, but nanny, boo, boo. That's what I just want to talk about. Nanny, boo, boo, because reasons. And I love, of course, how everybody is continuing to say, "Oh, we need more. We need more gun safety. We need more." And that's, again, it's not gun control; it's gun safety, right? Gun control is actually hitting your target. That's what gun control is. Gun confiscation is what they're looking for. And if you want an example of how that's working out, all you need to do is go and take a look at Canada. Because lately, they just now instituted some really stiff pro-gun control, legislation over the last handful of years. They were very similar to ours in many ways. Not quite. They were a little more stringent, but they were close to what America had. But now they've added all these new restrictive schemes on handguns and everything else. And I'm sure that that's made them safer, right? Right. Hamilton Police Services in Hamilton, in part of New Brunswick, they've had 58 shootings as of November the 4th, compared to 35 for all of last year. It's a record for the city, according to the Staff Sergeant Steve Berzuk. He leads the Hamilton Police Services Shooting Response Team, one of the few police units of its kind in Canada, recently formed to address the rise in gun violence. He says the odd thing is these shootings are occurring specifically at all hours of the day, but what we're starting to see is a trend of daytime shootings. And not just daytime shootings, but shootouts between individuals involving more than one firearm. Wait, I thought they were all illegal. Right? I thought that the guns were all illegal. How is this possible? He said there's been several notably disturbing incidents in the last year, including one daytime shooting in August in the city's East End, where someone was used as a human shield. We're concerned. This is no secret. These are scary numbers, he said. York and Toronto are both seeing similar increases. In Toronto, there's been 126 more shootings so far this year compared to the same period last year, with a total of 395 incidents since January. It also marks the most shootings the city has seen in 4 years. York is also seeing a 4-year high, according to numbers provided by the police force. Now, this is apparently happening all over Canada. Well, again, correlation isn't necessarily indicative of causation, but these restrictions were put in place specifically to stop this kind of thing, because, as the argument went, and writes Tom Knighton, access to guns drove those shootings. It wasn't the bad behavior of the people. It wasn't their proclivity for violence. It wasn't the fact that they were criminals. It was the access to guns that caused those shootings. That's what drove all those shootings. It had nothing to do with behavior patterns or, philosophy or temperament or mental acuity or anything else. It had everything to do with Johnny was such a great boy until he got the gun and then he became a monster. No, Johnny was a thug to begin with. And the gun just gave him the ability to exercise that thuggishness in a bigger way. Now, of course, the big problem here is the people who would actually like to be able to defend themselves from these kinds of attacks, but can't because the government has eliminated the best two options for them to be able to do so, the handgun and the semi-automatic rifle known as the assault weapon. Assault weapon. That's got a dark money feel to it, doesn't it? Assault weapon. Yeah, it's got a dark money feel to it. Anyway, so this just again proves yet again, and we've seen this in, place after place, where gun control was held up as, look at what they did. They did such a great job in Australia. And now we find out the compliance rate in Australia after 20 years, we find out that many people just ignored the law. I think the compliance rate was somewhere in the 20th percentile or something. In England, we saw a rise in, for a few years, we saw the rise in actual violent crime increased. While the gun violent part decreased, the violence overall increased. Then it became knife violence, and now it's back to gun violence again. Because, oh man, criminals, you mean they don't want to follow the law? They don't want to, they just make guns? They just import guns from other places. They steal them. They, buy them on the black. There's a black market for guns? That can't possibly be true. That's illegal. I mean, come on, folks. This is all about this is all about common sense. These people are criminals. And it doesn't matter how many laws you slap on the books. If they've decided they're going to do something, by golly, they're going to do it. And the only way a lot of these people's minds are going to be changed is for them to get a wake-up call. And maybe that's what needs to happen, because it's happened before. It just recently happened. Does anybody know who Jay Allen is? Now, I'm not a big it was those dang video games. No, yeah, sorry. I'm not a big country music fan, but apparently the Jay Allen is a country singer. I was not really familiar with him, but he's got some star power. He's been on The Voice. He's popped up in a lot of places, and it looks like he may be breaking out. He got a lot of attention when he got an invite to the White House from Jill Biden, because he's known for his philanthropy. He does a lot of charity work for Alzheimer's patients. His mother died from Alzheimer's, so he's very passionate about that. But and it would be, easy to look at all that and think that he's an anti-gun guy, and he may well have been an anti-gun guy. But he was. Remember where they say that there's no atheists in a foxhole? Well, it's because he may have changed his mind. He was recently. Oh man, I'm sorry. This story just flashed away from my screen. He has reconsidered his stance on gun ownership after being the victim of an armed robbery in an East Nashville grocery. He was at a grocery store, and apparently he was robbed of all his money at the point. He said what really distressed him wasn't the loss of the money. It was the feeling of vulnerability and the terror that stuck with him even after the danger had passed. He said, even with having a muscular stature and being covered in tattoos, it didn't matter. He had a gun, and I didn't. I felt helpless, taken advantage of, and mad at myself more than anything. And you know what? Good for him. Good for him for admitting it. I would be mad at myself. If if you carried a firearm every day and then you left it on the counter one day and went to work and that was the one day you need it, wouldn't you be mad at yourself? In the wake of this incident, he made a big decision to purchase a firearm for self-protection. And he said, serious talk. I got held up at the grocery store in East Nashville a few days ago. I'm okay, but it was the feeling that I couldn't get over. He goes, I've always been on the fence about guns, but today I'm a proud new gun owner. It's strictly for self-defense, and I will never feel that way again. Thank you to my best bud, who is also a veteran, for taking the time to train me so I can now safely protect myself. So he went out, he did some training, he got, and that was the next level of it, right? The next level was you just don't go buy a gun. It's some kind of magical, mystical totem that protects you. He actually went out and got some training and got proficient with his firearm. So again, there are no atheists in the foxhole at that point. And I hate to say it, but more instances like this is what is probably going to do the most to change people's mind. They have to experience that kind of helplessness to understand that Uncle Sugar is not there 24 hours a day to save you. He's not there ready to turn the corner and jump in and do this stuff. You are responsible for yourself. You are responsible for ourselves. My daughter's in the chat room laying down some brilliance out here. She says, prohibition apparently has taught us nothing. Yep, that's pretty much it right there. We didn't learn from the prohibition era, right? I mean, criminals will break the law, right? Criminals will break the law. That's what it's all about. It's one of those things. All right, we are coming up on the break here. We've got more coming up, some other stories from around the country, including a look at what President Trump's positive, what he could do for the gun movement, what he could do to help protect Second Amendment rights. Because again, I've been a little on the fence. This is like the one thing that I worry about. Well, not the one thing I worry about a lot. But with the president, this is the one thing that I think he has not been as consistent as he could have been in. So we'll talk about that here in just a moment. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We return with more in just a moment.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Anthony said, is it weird? Because Anthony, I know it's Anthony because he put his name on the front. So I like that. Thank you. Is it weird that when I hear about shootings in gun-controlled Canada, I imagine it happening with old Mosin Nagants and rusty break action shotguns? Apparently not. Apparently it's like, this is like all handgun on handgun stuff going on. Gunfights in the streets. I mean, that's just crazy. Facebook, whoever this is, Facebook user. It sounds like Frank. Is it Frank? I'm just... MD, I'm going to have to open this second window. Let me just open this second window. Okay, and I just turned off. I just muted myself so I'm not echoing. Oh, it's Kim. Kim says I need to get over the bump stock issue. No, I'm not going to get over the bump stock issue. Again, I'm not going to get over the bump stock issue, and I'm not going to get over his comment of we'll take the guns and worry about due process later. If that doesn't trouble you, you could think he does lots of other great stuff, and I think he's done some great stuff. But if that doesn't trouble you, you're fooling yourself. Okay? Again, this guy is not Jesus Christ. He is not infallible. So it does worry me. It does worry me. Yeah. It's easy. I'm easily the most 2A person I've ever met, but the fact that people break laws is a very bad argument for not having laws. See murder for details. I'm not saying that you don't have some basic laws, Fat Ray. I'm saying that this reduction to the ridiculous, reductum ridiculoso, or whatever it is, I mean, that is the problem. Well, they didn't do this, so we'll add one more law, and then we'll add one more law, and then we'll add one more law. It's already illegal to rob somebody. It's already illegal to hurt somebody. It's already illegal to kill somebody. It's already illegal to, and then you want to add one more thing and now take the ability from people to be able to defend themselves by outlawing the tools that give them the ability to do that. Again, I'm not saying you eliminate all laws. I'm saying one more law is not going to matter. 20,000 regulations on the books, 20,000 for guns. When is enough enough? I'm not saying you don't have laws. Society is made of laws, but laws are only for a just and moral society. You need to start punishing the criminals who are breaking it and not trying to penalize the law-abiding citizens. We all make mistakes. He had some bad advice, maybe. Maybe. But doesn't the buck stop here? Doesn't the buck stop here, Kim? Huh? I mean, isn't he the leader? We all get bad advice, but doesn't he have to stand behind his decisions? I'm not saying we don't all make mistakes. And if it's a mistake and he admitted it, that'd be great, but he's never really addressed it. He's just kind of glossed right over it. He let the courts reverse the bump stock thing, and he's really never addressed his commentary on we'll take the guns and worry about due process later. I don't think I'm out of line for bringing it up. It may hurt your feelings because Trump is your guy. But, I mean, I'm just saying this is why I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm still cautious. I'm concerned. That's what I'm worried about. But I'm not going to get over anything, especially when it's talking about violating a fundamental, inalienable civil right, one of the big 10. Sorry, not going to get over it. That's not how it works. What could PT do to protect the second A? Appoint, when is there an opportunity to appoint constitutional judge? Okay. All right. I was trying to figure out what we were talking about there. Coming back over here. Reductum ridiculoso, a Harry Potter spell that turns you into a liberal. There's actually it's an axiom, reduction to the reduction to the ridiculous. Reduction to the ridiculous. It's an argumentative technique, and in a lot of ways, it's a closing technique for sellers, for salespeople. But anyway, reductio ad absurdum. That's what it is. Thank you. Reductio ad absurdum is the Latin form of. It's been around that long. Right. It's been around so long that there's actually a Latin phrase that talks about it. Reductio ad absurdum. Reduction to the ridiculous. Anyway. Okay. We have LaFrozen, says somebody. I would say refresh your browser. That will probably help you. It's just, let's see. All right, here we go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a but somewhat funny.
Well, sorry. I didn't realize I was such a jerk. I didn't know. Welcome back. It is Firearms Friday. And we're now taking a look at some of the things that potentially could be, positives for the gun movement. We were just talking in the chat room. Somebody was telling me to get off my my commentary about President Trump and the bump stock ban and everything else. And I said, I'm not going to do that. Again, I voted for the man as my third choice. I voted for the man, but I'm not going to let that stuff go because you just can't. Whether if he got bad advice, if it was just a flippant comment or if whatever, he's never really clarified. He's never really clarified his stance on the executive order banning bump stocks. They just let that go to the court and be reversed by the court. He never really commented on it. And he's never retracted or commented on his position after Parkland, where he was caught on camera telling them, we'll just take the guns and worry about due process later. That's very concerning to me as a free citizen, that kind of commentary. Since due process is the cornerstone of American jurisprudence, I get a little concerned about that. So, no, I'm not going to let those go. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to let it hold me up totally. Like I said, I voted for the guy. I'm cautiously optimistic that he's going to make some good moves here during his last term, and hopefully do some things that will help protect the Second Amendment and gun owners specifically. Cautiously optimistic that that's going to happen, but I will also be watching closely for things like that due process comment. If he doesn't make it again, or if he would at least address it and say, I was wrong. But that's not his style. But what could he do? What could he do to help out? Well, over at the Gun Writer Substack, Lee Williams has got a whole list of things that he is talking about. And I think that these things are all fantastic. First and foremost, he said this back in May, President Trump did, that he will end more than 50 executive orders that Biden has issued about guns and the Second Amendments. Biden has signed executive orders covering homemade gun kits that do not use serial numbers, stabilizing braces for ARs, which has already been enjoined by several courts as being overreach. He wanted owners to have to register those stabilizing braces as short-barreled rifles under the NFA. Safe storage requirements. He created a task force to consider 3D printed firearms and fully automatic conversion devices that are already regulated as machine guns. He created the White House Office of Gun Violence, right? These are all things that he did by executive order. And so Trump has already said that he plans to end more than 50 executive orders that Biden issued about guns and the Second Amendment, which would actually be nicer than what Biden did. Biden came in and actually reversed every executive order that Trump had put in place during his entire presidency. He just reversed them all. So, I mean, he could first and foremost go in and just do that, and that would be a huge burden off American gun owners. We should have a whole discussion just on executive orders, because that's a constitutional gray area. The founding fathers really didn't envision that being the tool that it's being used as today. That's kind of like dictate from on high. That's kind of emperor level stuff that the courts have held back in some ways, but not in all ways. But anyway, if he rolled all those back, that would be great. How about firing Steve Dettelbach, the chief of the ATF, the head of the ATF? How about that? Or how about we just talk about dismantling the ATF? Do we really need or at least the F part of ATF? Do we need them to be meddling in firearms? If you want to tax alcohol and tobacco, fine. But why firearms? Trump also told the NRA that he plans to appoint a pro-gun attorney general who will stop the weaponization of government against lawful gun ownership and who will prioritize traditional law enforcement by catching and punishing criminals. Gasp. You're going to punish criminals for their actions? Say that ain't so. That can't possibly be true. You're not going to punish criminals, are you? I mean, President Biden certainly wasn't going to punish criminals, right? Because he was using these federal laws to go after a bunch of bad apple gun dealers, right? Traffickers, straw buyers. He wanted to eliminate a bunch of the kitchen table dealers. Well, except, of course, when it comes to the actual bad guys. It's been almost 3 years since Woodburn, Oregon found 34-year-old Nicholas Tillman in possession of 5 rifles when they responded to an alarm at Coastal Farms and Ranch store in February of 2022. He admitted to the police that he'd broken into the store using a blowtorch to shatter the front windows and was taken into custody. Even though prosecutors had more than enough evidence to take him to trial, they offered him a heck of a plea deal. He'd already been convicted of domestic violent assault in 2008 and was under order to have no contact with the victim and possess no guns or ammunition. And instead, he went in and broke into this place and had 5 rifles and ammunition and everything else. He was initially charged with burglary and being a felon with a firearm. He was released from the county jail due to overcrowding and placed under pretrial supervision. And a warrant was issued for his arrest when he failed to return to meet with a pretrial officer. He was taken into custody a year later, placed back in jail. As part of the plea agreement, his federal theft of firearms charges was dismissed. He could have received 10 years behind bars if they'd gone to trial. I mean, they caught him red-handed. Instead, he'll be released from custody after prosecutors and attorneys agreed to the 2-year sentence, which he'll get for time served and everything else. I mean, this is the... But don't worry. Don't worry. We will protect you. This is also part of my problem. You get all these laws. If only we had one more law. Well, if only you would enforce the laws you have instead of punishing law-abiding citizens. That would really be a help. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. But let me tell you what I think is going to be what I think potentially has the greatest opportunity for long-term protection of the Second Amendment. Let me tell you what I think is the biggest opportunity that President Trump is going to have. And if he eliminated all the executive orders and if he fired Dettelbach or even dismantled the ATF, that would go to a huge length towards fixing that. But the biggest thing, the thing that he could do that could help protect us generationally, is President Trump is going to have the opportunity to replace potentially 1, maybe 2 more Supreme Court justices. And as we've seen with the Bruen decision, we've seen the Bruen decision and the ripple effects of that and everything that it has done. This really is the biggest opportunity. This is the biggest opportunity to protect our right to keep and bear arms for at least a generation. Just think about it. Right now, we've got a conservative majority court. They have, we started out with Heller, and then we went to McDonald, and they got us partway there. They weren't as great as some of us would have hoped, but then Bruen came along, and Bruen has changed the face of the landscape of America as far as gun rights and protections from, these kind of gun-grabbing gun controls that the states are trying to put in, that a lot of these bureaucrats at the state level still want to put in. And there will be more decisions that are built off of Brune. And if we can, and if the president has the ability, if more justices step down, because all the newer justices, they're all pretty young, but as the other justices step down, and if he continues to replace them with constitutional scholars, pro Second Amendment, who have a pro Second Amendment view of the Constitution, this could be a protection for your children's children. That, I think, is his biggest opportunity for long-term potential protection, is the nomination and the replacement, the potential replacement of at least one, maybe two Supreme Court justices over the next 4 years, depending on, it's a lifetime thing, right? So it's a health issue. Depends on what if. But if that does happen, that could be huge. Huge. Just imagine Brune, but more. Just imagine an idea where you have the ability to the right to keep and defend yourself, that you can't have these safe spaces in these communities where people can't defend themselves or can't go armed to be able to protect themselves. Just all the things that have been going on right now. Just imagine that. I think it's I think that is the biggest opportunity right there. And we should be, again, cautiously optimistic that is going to take place. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Again, cautiously optimistic that this could happen. All right. So that's the positive for a Trump presidency. Again, we're always keeping an eye on him because he gets a little wishy-washy, but there are some opportunities there, and he's already committed to some of them, revoking the executive orders, firing Dettelbach, maybe restructuring or dismantling of the ATF. I mean, even just a restructuring would help. But those nominations, those appointments of Supreme Court justices could be the icing on the cake. We'll be back with more. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. What do you mean, Teresa? Some senators who ran as red are reportedly now going blue. Cite your sources. What are we talking about here? Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. Well, unfortunately, the Pew Pew Jew ended up being the CU Hebrew. CU Hebrew. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I mean, I was just going back through my text messages with him, and I realized that one of his responses was kind of ambiguous about it, and it looks like he and then I went back to the email invite and realized that he hadn't clicked accept. So my fault, I guess, for not following up more, but it is what it is. We'll get him back on the program here. Okay. She's probably talking about local elections, says Facebook user. That's all I see. I see a whole sidebar of Facebook user, Facebook user, Facebook user, Facebook user. There are many. Who said that? Jeannie. Jeannie says this. There are many ancillary rulings that we need to pay attention to. Props for the current trend. These other rulings are being used as props to stabilize liberty. No. I mean, we didn't get here in one quantum leap, right? We didn't make one giant quantum leap. We did it one little bite at a time. And if we have to take it one little bite at a time, that's the way That's the way we gonna do it. That's the way we gonna do it. All right. Ha 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 ha. Rick. Thanks, Rick. See, Anthony's been putting his name in the beginning of it, so I know it's him. So that was nice of him to do that. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Worked fine yesterday. Been working fine for months. What's the really weird part is that I can see the usernames for YouTube, Fat Ray, and for Rumble. So feel free if you want to jump over there and so I can highlight your comments. Feel free to do that over there as well. Okay. Let me go back up here to see what else has been going on. Trump, SCOTUS has made the appropriate moves towards 2A rights. Trump will continue to support the courts, somebody said. I hope so. I mean, I hope that would be, I would hope that would be a good thing. It would be concerning for everyone when it should be concerning for everyone. Let me read this again. It should be concerning to everybody that when somebody makes that statement, and that was the statement of, we'll take the guns and worry about due process later. And then Fat Ray said, well, I'm guessing there was a rash of gun seizures resulting from the statement, right? No, there wasn't. But it gives you insight into the mindset, does it not? I mean, I had let this subject die, and you guys keep bringing it back up. I mean, right? No. But the fact that he said that means that's what he was thinking. And that, again, brings back to me the veracity of his stalwartness of protecting the Second Amendment. That's all. Anybody that says we'll worry about due process later, regardless if it was we'll take the guns or we'll stop the speech or we'll put them in jail or we'll take their stuff and worry about due process later, forget about the guns part. Anybody that says we'll worry about due process later, that everybody should be concerned when somebody makes that statement, period. Come on, man. Yeah. Hey, I don't know if this is relevant to that, but what if they took your kids? We'll take the kids and worry about due process later to protect them from you. We'll worry about that due process thing later. That's his authoritarian streak. It's just who he is. He's got a wide streak of authoritarianism in him. And no, you can't disagree with that. That's a little worrying to me. It's a little concerning sometimes. It's a little concerning. Poke the Bear Friday. I love it. Who said that? Kim said that. Okay. Anthony said, I don't know, man. Some days I might let him take my kids. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that sometimes for sure. Yeah. All right. So I think we're all getting caught up here. All right, we're going to jump back into it. I got to send a text message to Chris Cheng here. We're going to get things ready to go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Hello to the podcast listeners. We'll be back in just a moment with Hour 2.
Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fun, and this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Yeah, baby. Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature. And your chance to sound off and talk about gun cultures and so much more. Gun cultures. That sounds like something you'd grow in a lab. What are you growing in that lab? We're growing gun cultures. 1 drop of gun oil in the Petri dish, and now we've got gun cultures. Welcome back to the program. And thanks for joining us. It is hour 2, and we're just kind of been talking a little bit about some gun stories and the reaction from the presidential election and what we think is, some of the potential things that President Trump could be doing or will be doing to help support and protect the Second Amendment and our gun rights. So we're gonna take a look at that and continue that discussion on here this morning. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, will be joining us here in just a few moments. We'll be talking with Chris Cheng and getting his take from the People's Republic of California on what's going on and what he sees happening and what else he's got going on in his life. It should be a fun thing to continue as well. We've been having this argument in the Facebook chat room here this morning. I mean, I don't know if it's an argument or maybe a discussion about because I started off the last part of the last segment talking about how I am cautiously optimistic that President Trump will be good for gun rights. Cautiously optimistic. But that everybody knows that my concern goes back to statements that he's made and actions that he took while he was president before, including the bump stock ban by executive order and his commentary about red flag laws and taking people's guns and worrying about due process in the past. So, and I think somebody's just enjoying poking me and watching me spin this morning because I got a little agitated about it. But here is the, again, here is Fat Ray in the chat room has said, so on the one hand, we have, because his comment was, well, he made all those comments, so I'm sure a lot of people, so then there was a lot of gun seizures, right? And no, that's not the point. My point was not that he immediately went out and seized guns. That would be a red flag for everybody, right? But the fact that he even considered it and said, we'll worry about due process later. And it didn't even have to be about guns. Because what the president said is they were talking about, this is after the Parkland shooting in Florida. This guy had had 20-something interactions with local law enforcement, another dozen interactions with the FBI before he shot up the school. This guy was well known to law enforcement. And so the questions started coming in about, well, maybe we should institute, all these national red flag and some other things. And the president's comment was, we'll just take the guns and worry about due process later, because somebody had raised the question about the due process problem with red flag laws. And he said, we'll just take the guns and worry about due process later. But set that aside. Take the guns part out of it. We'll just stop your ability to have free speech. We'll just ban you from social media. We'll just occupy your home. We'll just put you in jail. We'll just take your kids and worry about add anything you want to the front of that, and then have somebody say, and we'll worry about due process later. That should concern you. whether it happened or not, whether the seizures or the takings or the whatever's happened immediately after that. What I'm saying is it's a look into the mind of the person. That's what concerns me. And so he said, well, so Fat Ray said, well, the seizures, so you had a bunch of seizures right after that, right? No. But the point is that's where his mind went. We'll immediately, I'm not saying that it couldn't have been a mistake, but he's never addressed it. I'm not saying he couldn't have misspoken. I'm not saying he didn't get bad advice and took bad advice from somebody, but he's never addressed it. And then the straw man argument that just came up is, so on the one hand, we have no gun seizures and a troubling statement. And on the other hand, we have radio silence and kids being taken, because somebody was talking about kids being taken out of schools, or, alternatively, Libs didn't say anything beforehand and started taking kids from parents without due process over the trans issue. We've talked about that issue. That there is no radio silence. We've talked about that issue. They are obviously a threat to your rights and to your families and to your parents. Those kind of people who would do that and hide your children from you or obfuscate what's going on with your kids because they know better than you how to raise them, that's obviously a problem. So again, this is, I said it once, I'll say it again. Donald Trump is not Jesus Christ. He is not infallible. I don't expect him to be infallible. But if he makes a mistake, I expect him to own up to it, or at least comment on it. I think that there's going to be some good things that he's going to do for the country and the gun community, in the Second Amendment supporters. I think this is going to be positive, but cautiously optimistic still means that I'm remembering those things that happened in the past. We're probably, if we get both the House and the Senate, we'll probably see a resurrection of the Hush Act, the Hearing Protection Act. We'll probably see a resurrection of the Nationwide Reciprocity Act. We may see a rejiggering of the NFA, the National Firearms Act list. We may see maybe the Gun Control Act, maybe the FOPA, maybe we can repeal parts of the Firearms Owners Protection Act, which is the most misnamed bill in the history of gun control bills. But I mean, maybe all of those things can be taken on. But at least if we got the Hush, the Hearing Protection Act, and the reciprocity bills, that would not be a bad thing. That would not be a bad thing at all. So anyway, there's no follow through, so it's empty words. Okay, well, I guess as long as you're okay supporting a guy that does nothing but put out platitudes and empty words and rhetoric, to me, words have consequences. The words have consequences. I mean, this is a problem. We should always be talking about anything. I'm always going to call a spade a spade. If somebody does something good, I'm going to try and praise them. If somebody does something bad, I'm going to try and praise them. This has always been part of my problem with the cult of Donald Trump. It's, this monolithic, he can do no wrong. Everything he does is fifth dimensional chess, et cetera, et cetera. He's a fallible human being just like anybody. He's full of hubris. He's got a big authoritarian streak. That doesn't mean that I don't think he's still a better choice than Kamala Harris. It means that I'm cautiously optimistic that those tendencies can be kept under control. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Yeah. You don't have to like the president, whoever it is. The policies are what matters. He speaks good sometimes and sometimes not so much. Again, I agree. We all say dumb things sometimes, but sometimes, out of the mouth speaks the heart. And so if that's your first thought, then there you go. I mean, I'm going to let this go because I've made my point, and it seems like you guys just want to argue with me and tell me that folks just want to argue with me and tell me that no, he's perfect. He may have said something wrong, but he didn't really mean it, so it's okay. And you're just taking him to task for something that I'm not going to do this whole monolithic cult of Trump thing. Again, I think he's done a lot of good things. I think he's done some bad things, just like every other human being out there. And I'm cautiously optimistic that it's going to be fantastic for us. I'm hoping so. There you go. Yeah. The only one using Trump and Jesus in the same sentence as you. No, that's unfortunately not true. That's unfortunately not true. I mean, in the chat room this morning, maybe, but again, there were people. Yeah, it goes on out there. Again, that he can do no wrong, and they must defend him at every level. That's part of the problem right there. He is far from perfect. He is far from perfect, just like I am far from perfect as well. But again, some exciting things are coming down. I hope I really hope that he gets the opportunity to strengthen the court, because that will have the biggest impact. Strengthening the court would have the biggest long-term impact on the protection of the Second Amendment. And he did a fantastic job in his last term as president. He did a fantastic job of filling court vacancies. And I think we've got a very, very strong court right now in protection of the Second Amendment. And I think the Bruen decision, definitely, shows that in the well. So that will be fantastic. All right. Well, we're getting ready to come up on the break here. I'm just looking. Chris Cheng hasn't responded to my message. Does nobody read their messages and their calendars anymore? I'm asking for a friend. Chris Cheng, a Top Shot champion, is scheduled to be on here in our next segment. So let's take a break and hope that he's been checking his calendar, and we'll be back with more here in just a moment. It is the Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We return with more here in just a moment, and hopefully with Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion season 4, to talk about some post-election stuff. We'll go. Back with more right after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Nice beard.
The Michael Dukes Show.
Okay. All right. I'm just scrolling backwards to see. Where Chris is here. If he's away from. I mean, this may be a whole show of me just ranting, essentially at this point. Not ranting. Ranting that'd be wrong. Let's see here. We did that. We covered that. We covered that one. Dang, I think I've covered all the stories that I had prepared to go on about. I guess I got this one right here. Go back over here. Oh yeah, I did that one already. Sorry. All right. Wow. Sorry, there's just a new article that just popped up on Bearing Arms. Chicago men get plea deal in attack on concealed carry holder. Wow. I guess maybe we'll do a full read through of this if we can't come back and Chris doesn't show up. Mike, your Monday arrived late. No, it's not any big deal. It's, it's not any big deal. Sometimes this happens. Oh, there we go. Joining shortly. There we go. Oh, okay. This is the kind of, he says, sorry, just had to film a reaction bit for Fox News about the San Francisco mayoral race results. So he says he's joining shortly. So he's, this is what happens when you're a national news media star. Instead of coming on the little podunk Alaska low budget radio show. Okay. All right. Excuse me. All right. I'm almost 100%. I'm still feeling that last week was brutal. Last week was last week was the balls, man. That was the undercarriage. So anyway, we're feeling better now and seem to be rocking and rolling. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind. I mean, Chris Cheng. I see him down there, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot, joins us this morning to see. Hello, my friend. How is you? What's going on?
You flatter me so. Yeah, things are great.
I got to tell you, I thought it was funny because I didn't hear from you, and I'm like, because I was supposed to have Yehuda on in hour 1, but apparently we got our wires crossed, so he didn't show up, and so somebody was like, "Oh no, the CU Hebrew is now going to be the, Yurang Chang. He's gone. Nobody's coming on today."
Oh, no.
and then you were like, well, I had to be on Fox News. And I was telling the listeners, I was like, well, I mean, if you got to go on Fox News or some little podunk radio show in Alaska, I know what I would choose, so why not? So I haven't been following the San Francisco race. You'll have to give us commentary on that, but I know I want to talk. We've been talking all morning about the potential for what Trump can do to help bolster the Second Amendment and the things that he's talking about. So we could talk about that here as well. I'm still cautiously optimistic. They're getting mad at me in the chat room because I keep bringing up the whole, due process comment for Parkland and his bump stock ban. And I'm like, I bring it up just because I'm concerned about it, but I am cautiously optimistic, but they don't like the fact that I keep bringing it up. Anyway, I just gave you the recap. We're 5 seconds out. Here we go. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Chris Cheng is our guest. Like, share, subscribe. Let's do it.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
If we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
That's right. And we're joined this morning by a man who has nothing but protection guns in a variety of pastel colors, I understand. It is Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4. I like mine in a brilliant fuchsia. That's what I like. My protection guns.
Fuchsia, so hot right now.
So hot. Chartreuse, not so much. Fuchsia, that
was yesterday's color.
Yeah, chartreuse is yesterday's color for sure. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the History Channel Top Shot, author of the book Shoot to Win. You can find him at topshotchris.com. Chris, post-election, man, what a barn burner, huh? I mean, we thought it was going to be close. Turned out, no, it was kind of like that red wave we were supposed to have back in 2022. It was like the slowest moving tsunami ever. It finally hit, right? So give me your reaction and your thoughts here on how everything turned out. I mean, you live in ultra blue San Francisco too on top of it, and even they moved away from some of their city supervisors and stuff. I mean, you guys there's a lot of movement going on.
Yeah, the results have been nothing but stunning. I think from the top of the ballot, obviously President Trump pulled off what I think is the greatest political achievement in U.S. election history. I mean, right 4 years ago, he turned into a pariah, and he fought his way back against all the odds, against so many scandals and his felony. I mean, it's sort of the long list, but the country's clearly spoken, and the race wasn't even close. In San Francisco, there was this palpable feeling of excitement that Vice President Harris was, a lot of people obviously were rooting for her to win, and when the race was called, the entire city just felt like a balloon getting deflated. But people here in San Francisco, most of them live in a huge bubble, right? And one of the big reactions out of San Francisco and many other, I think, coastal cities is they just don't understand. They simply do not understand how both Vice President Harris lost. So that's sort of question one. Question two is how did President Trump win? On the first question, Vice President Harris, she just was not a good candidate, right? She sort of had she's very telegenic and photogenic, and sort of checks a lot of the diversity and inclusion boxes, but she had no substance. She couldn't speak on policy. She had zero accomplishments as vice president, right? And how do you go 4 years as vice president and the country doesn't know who you are? They don't know your accomplishments. And then for President Trump, he made it very clear that he had a different vision for the country, and a vision that Americans, whether Trump can execute or not is obviously, to be seen. But at least it was a vision that tapped into Americans' anger, tapped into our frustrations, and the tone deafness of the Democrats, right? And kind of trying to pull the wool over our eyes and saying, oh, everything's fine, the economy is great, and we're all sitting here saying, right, look at the price of eggs and milk and gas, and it's just hard to pay the bills. I mean, it's just the visions just were so different. But when I look at President Trump and the Second Amendment moving forward, this is going to be an interesting 4 years, because if he has a unified Congress with Republicans in control, hypothetically, right, this is supposed to be where the party in control can more efficiently push their agenda through. That is not always the case. If I remember correctly, this happened to George W. Bush. I think in part of his administration. And there were some problems, right, getting a legislation pushed through. And so, with the things that I hope to see out of a Trump administration with regards to gun rights is a national reciprocity around concealed carry weapons permits, right, where essentially your CCW permit in one state is valid in another, right, very much treating it like a driver's license.
Right.
That would be a big one. I would love to see finality around assault weapons bans and magazine capacity restrictions. I would love to see Congress pass a freedom bill. I don't know what we want to call it, right? That basically legalizes assault weapons, quote unquote, and standardizes magazine capacity, or basically puts no restrictions, right, on magazine capacity restrictions. Let's force the issue here, right? The Supreme Court ultimately is probably going to rule on this, and I would love to see the Congress. I would love to see President Trump, right? Let's move the needle here in a very meaningful way.
Right. No, I agree, and I think the national reciprocity, although I am a little concerned with the federal government and restrictions and stuff, but I think, like you said, treating it like a driver's license, I'd like to see a national constitutional carry bill. That's what I'd like to see. But reciprocity would be a good second choice. Of course, the Hush Act, the Hearing Protection Act, taking suppressors off of the NFA list, taking that tax off, taking all the things. It's a safety device. It's all it is. It's a safety device.
Absolutely.
And, that should be on there. And of course, the president elect said back in May that he was going to revoke or reverse every one of Biden's over 50 gun control executive orders. He has 50 plus executive orders that relate to guns in some way, shape, or form. He's already said he's going to reverse all those. That's great. Said he was going to fire Steve Dettelbach, the head of the ATF. That's great. I think you should have a complete restructure. You may not be able to eliminate the ATF, but the executive has the power to reorganize that thing as much as he wants, and he could really go in there and clean house and make some real changes there. But I would argue that the biggest potential, and this is what I was arguing this morning. In fact, Coleo Noir was talking about this earlier this week, is the potential that the president could nominate or appoint one or potentially even two more Supreme Court justices in his next term. And that could have the longest reaching generational effects on protecting the second. I mean, look what happened with Bruen. The ripples from Bruen are still going out like a rock in a pond. I mean, that is doing more. Bruen, first Heller, then McDonald, and now Bruen is the capper, the cherry on top, has done more to protect and to reinvigorate the Second Amendment in this country than anything else. Imagine these other cases that you're talking about will have to appear before the courts. Imagine a stronger court, a more constitutional court. That could have the farthest reaching impact, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And, there's a lot of chatter around, Supreme Court justices' ages, health situations as well. So it'll be interesting if any of them do retire or, Justice Sotomayor, there's a lot of speculation that a lot of Democrats wanted her to retire, right, during President Biden's term, so the Democrats could try and nominate a replacement for her. So that we'll see what happens there. I mean, they've only got, if they want to try to make that happen, they've only got 2 short months. Clarence Thomas, there's also been a lot of chatter about whether he's going to step down. Personally, I don't, unless he's got some health or personal reasons why he can't, execute the job. But I would say, Clarence Thomas, he for decades had wanted to bring the Second Amendment to the forefront, right, of the court's docket. He's made it happen, right? And as far as I'm concerned, he's just getting started. So from a legacy, from a career perspective, my guess is Clarence Thomas isn't going anywhere, right? He's changed the game, and he wants to, right? I think stay till the 9th inning, right? And really see it through.
I'm cautiously, like I said, I've been saying all morning, I'm cautiously optimistic that President Trump in his second term will do a lot to protect and the Second Amendment. Noir made a comment about, here's a guy that they attempted to assassinate him. He was struck by a bullet. One of his supporters was killed by an AR-15. And, a lot of people, their knee-jerk reaction would have been to ban AR-15. He instead was saying fight, and has come out as a super strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I think that is also telling, and again, gives me more optimism.
Yeah, I think the thing that gives me actually concern here, though, is the status of the NRA, right? The NRA, is traditionally a big bullhorn that keeps presidents and keeps elected officials kind of in check, right? But as we've discussed, over the years here, the NRA has just been mired in scandal and unforced errors, self-inflicted wounds. And I would argue, right, when President Trump enacted the bump stock ban in 2018, right, this was around the start of the NRA's legal troubles with the New York Attorney General. And the NRA was distracted. They were weak. And I think it was a significant part of why that bump stock ban went through.
Right.
And the NRA is not in a, they're trying to, claw their way back. There's new leadership in place, but there's sort of new problems coming up. And my concern is that if the NRA, right, is not in a strong place, right, they used to have, and they still do have, President Trump's ear, right? They are still, let's be frank, right, they are still a player, right, on the national stage, and they're still the largest gun rights group. But if they are not able to keep President Trump notified and informed about these issues, I am concerned that President Trump will let his sort sort of his instincts take over, right? And sometimes his instincts have not proven to be friendly to the Second Amendment, but he can be reasoned with, like most people. So we just need gun rights groups. We need citizens to speak up and make sure he knows that we protect and defend the Second Amendment.
They have his ear, but it depends on who's whispering, right? We found that out about the NRA. I mean, they endorsed Peltola in this state over the Republican who has an A+ rating from the GOA and everybody else. It's frustrating to watch, but we'll see what happens. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, season 4 of the show Top Shot, author of the book Shoot to Win. You can find him at topshotchris.com. Chris, I'm running out of time here. Hold the line for just a second for me. Thanks for coming on board, though, and say hello to your puppy while you're there for me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on as always.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Willie Waffle up next, The Michael Duke Show.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Yeah, my dog's under my feet, under my desk, and his head came up and hit my leg. Like, what was that? What was that? So I feel you for sure. No, man, I got to tell you, it was, I just was saying earlier, the first day I was like, no, that's good. Good results. The second day, this morning, I actually woke up feeling kind of positive about where things are going. We got this red wave. Don't know if we have the House yet, but we got the Senate, we got the presidency, potentially the House as well. But even if just some of the changes are made that he's talked about and promised so far, that'll be huge. I mean, that would just be so huge to reverse all those, no more stabilizing brace deal, no more ghost guns and gun kit things, no more, ATF prosecuting the kitchen table dealers, no more all this other kind of stuff. I think that would be, those will be huge things in the future moving forward.
Yeah, one other thing that I think needs to be on the president's docket is this credit card merchant code situation. Right. So there's now 4 states that have enacted laws that require credit card companies to categorize gun shop sales as gun sales versus the previous category, which is this more generic sporting goods category, right? And so these credit card companies, from what I understand, they don't want to do it, right? They do not want to get into the gun debate, but hey, their hands are tied, right? If states are saying, right, that the credit card companies are required to categorize certain sales in a certain way, so more states are considering this merchant code gun control scheme, which is, I'll be frank, it's very clever. It's incredibly clever. It can be incredibly effective, but it's effectively building a gun registry. All right, it's like an end around to identify gun owners. I think it's extremely unconstitutional. I'm hoping Congress will quash this one, right, and then send a bill to the president's desk. But the credit card MCC gun control scheme, as it's known as, the MCC debacle, I hope that gets the big old kibosh.
Right. That's a legacy of Obama's Operation Choke Point. That's part and parcel of that. And yeah, you're right. It's very clever. It was almost as clever as the whole OSHA thing that Hillary Clinton tried to put through with the ammunition manufacturing as well. That's, like I said, if they can, they will find other ways to end run around the actual purchasing, to either starve you of ammunition or to track you down and follow your purchases and everything else. They'll do anything. And so we definitely need to find ways to defang that and everything else. Chris, I wanted to see how you've been feeling. I know you were still recovering. Are you 100% yet? Are you feeling better? What's going on?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I'm on the road to recovery. It's a whole mix of physical therapy and other things, but I see the light at the end of the tunnel, not the other way around. So.
Yeah. The light at the end of the tunnel is the oncoming train. Is that what you were saying? No, I feel I hardly ever get sick. And last week, and I'm still a little bit sick. Last week I got something, and it was, man, it just dropped me in the dirt. So I definitely feel for you having even a longer, tougher, more extended road. So it's good to see what's going on. What else is happening in your world before we run out of daylight here? We got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, I was, as you mentioned to your listeners, I was just on Fox News recording a quick little bit in reaction to San Francisco's mayoral race. San Francisco, hyper liberal, very progressive. It's swung hugely to the left over the past years. But this recent race, we saw a huge, notable swing to the right. These hyper progressive policies have just shown to be not just ineffective, but very dangerous. Here in San Francisco, where we have criminals who are just owning the streets, right? They sometimes get arrested, and the next thing you know, right, they're getting released from jail, right? Same thing with the mentally ill. I'm my neighborhood, we have a restraining order, right, on this mentally ill person. He's been a problem for years. We're talking like 4 or 5 years. It cost us, I think, $1,500 as a neighborhood to file the restraining order paperwork. My neighbors, we had to go to court hearings, right, to petition a judge, like why this individual is a threat to our neighborhood and to public safety. And he's been arrested multiple times. And there's a hearing coming up, and he might be released from custody again, right? And it's just this revolving door of, hey, look, ultimately, this poor guy needs help, right? He needs help. He's incapable of helping himself. He really needs to be taken under the custody of the state. So bottom line, though, is I'm happy with the election results in San Francisco as well. I think there's going to be a turn towards law and order, and really restoring San Francisco back to its rightful place of being one of the best cities to visit and best cities to live in.
I can't wait to hear more about it. Chris Cheng, Top Shot champion, thank you so much for coming on board, my friend. We love having you. We will talk to you again soon. Folks, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Okay, that's weekend. That's it. That's a wrap. I'm done. No, not yet. Why? Because we got to do the Willie Waffle thing. That's what we got to do. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com, entertainment critic extraordinaire, comes in every week to share with us tidbits, the dish, to dish us the details on whatever's going on. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm feeling great. Come on, the weekend's upon us. I can watch football without seeing all those political ads anymore. I'm like in heaven.
I know. Look, the political thing being over is just that's just icing on the cake for everything, right? I mean, at this point.
It really is. It really is. And, I lived in one of those congressional districts that was one of the 2 or 3 closest in the entire country. And I swear every commercial break was just mudslinging one way, mudslinging the other way. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the game would be back. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, no, exactly. We live, our district was also, Alaska is a single district, and it was another one of those that's so super, they still don't know because of ranked choice voting.
Oh, my.
Yeah, but we hadn't checked the mail since, I think we checked the mail on Friday. So I hadn't checked the mail. My daughter just brought the mail home last night, and there was a stack. I kid you not. There were 30 mailers in there. Peltola baggage. I mean, and he told me on the show the other day, his campaign hasn't spent a single dollar on mailers. It's all pack, and it's just, dude, it's so much money that, I just threw them all in the trash. I didn't even look. I just made sure there was no letters stuck in between and threw them all away. It was just
no bills.
Crazy. Yeah, right? No crazy. Anyway, I'm glad you're glad. It's all glad. Let's get to the stories. Now, you teased me just a little bit. I got a little email here. It says something Star Wars. And that's all you wrote, which makes me hate you so much in a loving Christian way. What exactly is going on? You got a story here. Give it to me.
I've got a story that just broke yesterday afternoon. I was sitting there, and all of a sudden my phone, kind of did a little ding because I got the alert, and I went, no way. And I think you're going to like this, because at first glance you might not be happy, but then you're going to hear the details.
Okay.
Right now, a source has revealed to Reuters that a new Star Wars film trilogy is being developed as we speak.
Okay, a new trilogy. So different story, same. Is it?
Different. So it's supposed to be a different story. They said they're not going to focus in on all the Skywalker stuff. It's going to be a brand new angle. Here's where you're going to get excited. This is what I know you're going to like. It will be written by the producer and writer Simon Kinberg, who is best known for co-creating the animated series Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that guy, as long as Kathleen Kennedy has nothing to do with it, I think it might have a chance of success. That's all I'm saying.
Well, she's also going to be one of the producers.
I hate you so much right now. I mean,
I'm sorry. I just have to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. But it's quite interestingly enough, my son and I have been watching Bad Batch lately. And,
yes, Bad Batch.
And so well written, so good. I mean, just for an animated show, it's really. I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm a Star Wars nerd, and the animated shows seem to do really, really well. Rebels, Clone Wars, Bad Batch, they've all just really been done well. And if you're going to bring those people into this and maybe keep Kennedy on the sidelines as much as you can, that might not be a bad. I mean, Jon Favreau did a pretty good job of keeping Kennedy out of the whole. David Filoni and Filoni and Favreau did a pretty good job with The Mandalorian. Yep. So, I mean, we'll have to see. But yeah, I would be excited to hear about that. A whole new story. Yeah, let's expand it out a little bit. As long as it's not the same people who did The Acolyte, we're fine.
Well, and I agree with you. I think that we saw with The Mandalorian, and I keep going back to The Mandalorian because, like you, I just think it's one of the best things Star Wars ever did. And it was brilliant that, they did play into the lore, into the characters that we know, but it was new and it was fresh and it was different. And they kind of started leaning into the more traditional Skywalker storyline a little bit, but it still maintained that idea that there's this whole other world outside of these Shakespearean characters that we followed for how many years. All the regular working class Star Wars people, right? Who are out there just trying to make a living, trying to survive.
Yeah, these are all excited. These are all the B-list, right? These are all the B-list characters, but I mean, they make up the whole world. I mean, this is what gives the world flavor. I used to play a game called back in the day. It was called Star Wars Galaxies, and it was an online game.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was like an MMO, right? So you could be whoever you want. Everybody wanted to be a Jedi. Not me. I was a bounty hunter and I was fighting.
Nice.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, it was, it's always the unsung guys. You don't want to be the superhero. You want to be the guy that's in the background pulling the strings or doing stuff, crazy. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this. This should be good. Any idea of timing on this?
No, there's no idea of timing. The only project that we know, solidly know that's coming is the Mandalorian movie, which is going to be in 2026. Okay. So I would think that they're going to have to plan this and write this to be after the Mandalorian movie. So I would say probably, you're looking at 27 start maybe, or 28.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll still be alive then. All right. Let's go over to another sequel. This one by the couch jumper himself. Tom Cruise is asking for another, and no, it's not Mission Impossible 27. It's a totally different movie.
This one kind of surprised me. And I kind of started thinking maybe Tom Cruise just wants to keep cashing in on everything that he's done over the years. And this is a great example. So Paramount is allegedly in talks with Tom Cruise to star in a sequel to the 1990 NASCAR featured movie Days of Thunder. Yes, Cole Trickle's going to be back, the hot-headed NASCAR driver. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I don't think his former co-star Nicole Kidman's going to show up in this sequel. Yeah. I don't think they're on speaking terms anymore.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they brought back Michael Rooker as the kind of the antagonist of the thing, because he was the. But this is rubbing his racing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I remember it being a good flick. I can't say that I've ever watched it a second time. I remember watching it at the theater and thinking that was a good movie, but I don't recall.
Yeah, and I think this is supposed to be now he's at the end of his career, or maybe he's now a team owner, and he sees that he needs to mentor a young man who's just like him, probably played by Harry Styles. I made that part up, guys. I made that part up. I don't know if they'll get Harry Styles.
Well, like you said, I mean, let's see. So he's done Mission Impossible, and now he's done Top Gun sequels. Was he going to do a Risky Business sequel, or where it's his son or something sliding across the thing in his under? I don't know.
That would be hilarious.
That would be
great.
hysterical.
Or how we never got the War of the Worlds sequel, did we? No.
Right. Or The Day After Tomorrow. That's actually one of the most underrated Tom Cruise movies.
That would be good.
That was a great movie. That was a fantastic movie. And I would watch that one again and again. All right. Well, so they're just in talks again. We're 2028, right? I mean, this is years away.
Yeah, this is years away. I mean, I think that I think the Top Gun sequel would come first, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. What else here? Everybody knows Kevin Bacon. I mean, we're all separated from him by 7 degrees, right? I mean, it's funny because I actually am separated.
But how many degrees are you?
I am 2 away from Kevin Bacon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I am 1.
You're 1. See, yeah. Everybody
I'm 1.
Everybody knows Kevin Bacon in some way, shape, or form, which is just hysterical. But he and his wife, who he does know as well. I mean, she's closer than even Willie. Kira Sedgwick, they're getting into the movie business.
Well, yeah, and it's a family affair, baby, because nepotism pays. All right, so Kira Sedgwick, his wife, and Kevin Bacon are going to direct and star in a movie featuring their children, Travis and Sose. I think that's how you say it. I'm not really sure, but it's like that. And Kira Sedgwick will direct, which she's done before, and it's going to be a horror comedy movie where they are a family of horror movie makers, and they're out on the set of their latest movie when, wouldn't you know it, a real dead body shows up.
This is funny because when you sent me the list in the email, Willie sends me information on what he's going to talk about. It said, following a filmmaking family who discover a dad body on the set of their latest horror film. And I thought that would be funny. A dad bod? They found a dad bod on the set of their latest, but a dead body makes more sense. But he's got some comedic timing. He can be pretty funny.
Or I just don't know how to type. I am the king of typos.
It is true. I mean,
we're going to talk about another typo I made in a few minutes, so you're going to enjoy that even better.
All right. So, this is coming out again. No release date. So,
no release date because they really are. They're really just getting financing at this point, and trying to get the movie made, and then they'll try to sell it. So, like, this is the kind of thing that would go off to film festivals, not on the circuit that is all about getting Oscar nominations and getting those kind of buyers. But this is going to be like, hey, we have this movie that you might want to buy, and it was made cheap, and you can release it and make a couple of quick bucks around Halloween.
Okay.
And so they'll probably try to get that ball rolling. If that's going to be the plan, I would say at this point 2026.
Okay. All right. Well, we're running out of time, so we can't really talk about Jamie Foxx. Maybe we can pick that up next week. You got 2 different things to talk about in theaters. We got about 4 minutes, so go ahead. You take your choice here.
Well, then we're going to talk about the best Christmas pageant ever. Even though I've been calling it the greatest Christmas pageant ever for weeks, it's actually the best Christmas pageant ever.
Okay.
And it's based on a very famous book, and that's why I didn't know the title, because it's a very famous book. I only really read history books.
Right. So, exactly.
So the story is actually it's let me tell you something. This is a nice little Christmas movie. It is about a family in town, right? They're going to learn the real meaning of Christmas, that this town for 75 years has put on the big church Christmas pageant, and they do it the same exact way every year. It's a tradition, except the director has fallen ill, can't do the show. I don't want to tell you what happens. It's kind of funny. And so a new woman, played by Judy Greer, takes over. And the pageant is invaded by the most horrible, rotten, just annoying children in all of town. And they might just ruin it all. Or maybe everybody's going to learn a nice little lesson.
Okay. Judy Greer, who is the mom on Archer, is just, I mean, she's just so funny. And Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls. So, I mean, this sounds like it has some potential. Give me the deets real quick.
You know, super good potential. I mean, on the one level, it's just a very funny, cute movie about putting on a show. And there's lots of slapstick and there's lots of goofiness. And there's all sorts of moments where you think it's all going to be a disaster. But there's a second level that I really like to this movie, and it's a very subtle level. It's interesting and understanding discussion about the holidays and religious beliefs in the holidays, but also just religious beliefs in general. And there's something really sweet in here about, you know, giving people a chance. What's that true spirit of Christianity? What's that true spirit of Christmas? And I think they do it with a nice light touch to make you think, hey, people do deserve a break. Maybe there are explanations for why people are the way they are. And I'm giving it 3.5 waffles.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to watch it. And this is in theaters right now, right?
In theaters right now. I suspect it'll go quickly to some sort of streaming in December, as far as like video on demand or something like that, because they want to exploit all the weeks leading up to the Christmas season.
You bet. Okay. That leaves us with about 90 seconds here for Heretic with Hugh Grant. I see the trailers for this. This looks creepy.
I like Hugh Grant in this movie. You're right, he's creepy. See, these two missionaries knock on his door trying to, you know, proselytize about Mormonism. And Hugh Grant plays this guy who's kind of professorial, seems to be really into the discussion, and invites these two ladies in. And as they have their discussion, they start to realize they're in trouble. Oh, they're in trouble.
Man.
And now they have to try to escape.
This just sounds creepy. All right. Give me a quick -1 to 4 waffles. What are you thinking on this right now?
You know, 3 waffles. Half the movie is super awesome with the tension and the game that's going on between them. The other half is more of a traditional horror movie where they're trying to escape.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll watch that. I'm sure Terry will love it. So we'll check it out. That's The Heretic, 3 waffles in theaters right now. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for being here. Folks, we're out of time. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Yeah, I saw the trailer for this and I was like, what's going on? Because, you know, Hugh Grant does not necessarily play the bad guy. If it does, it's usually kind of a buffoonish bad guy. This looked
the cad
real intense, right? I mean, this was like
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And it just, you know, it slowly just reels you in. It has these really great revelations. And it's all because of Hugh Grant and the way he plays this character, you know, that, you know, he's really truly luring them in. He is a cat playing with the mouse before he goes in for the kill. And, you know, he's engaging them in this conversation. He's slowly, you know, revealing he knows more about religion than anybody on the planet, and engages in these discussions, challenging them, challenging their beliefs, challenging what they're out there fighting for. And then, you know, he just kind of turns it all around. And that's when the ladies realize what has just happened.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this and then somebody sent me a message or something. The Rotten Tomato score is like 95% or something. And they're like, this thing looks all epic. So I like that. I mean, I like it, you know, and maybe he won't complain about being an Oompa Loompa now because he's going to get a good movie and maybe he'll, you know.
But you know what? He was fantastic as the Oompa Loompa. Can I say?
Okay.
Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa in the Willy Wonka movie was hilarious. He was exactly what we needed as an Oompa Loompa. Just a grumpy, nasty old man who just was there to cause trouble. I loved it. It was brilliant.
Yeah. He apparently didn't appreciate it, though. I don't know. I mean, you know, man, don't be so bitter. You're doing something that other people would love to do, you know, that people kill for. And here you are. But I don't know. Maybe he's just getting old and grumpy. Maybe he's curmudgeonly now in his old age. I don't know, but
he's got to embrace it. I mean, listen, I know it's hard. You and I both know what it's like to be the young, hot leading man.
Sure.
And as we age, those things change. We take on a new role, more of a leadership figure, more of somebody with a little more gravitas.
Right.
And some of us embrace it, and some of us don't. And he's got to embrace it.
All right. Well, we'll see it. 3 waffles, though, for Heretic. And I know the scary movies are not necessarily your thing, so that says a lot right there. All right, Willie, what are we doing next week?
Next week, it is Red One. The Rock and Chris Evans have to save Santa Claus.
I saw the trailer for that, too, and I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
These comedic Christmas movies are so much fun. I just, Bad Santa, and what was that other one that was last year where they were trying to rob Santa's?
Yes.
That was Paul Giamatti.
That was really good, yeah. Yeah, Paul Giamatti. Well, and there was also the one with David Harbour that I loved a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
basically it was like the baddest Santa ever.
Yeah,
I got to look that name up again. That was a really funny.
That was Silent Night, or was that Slate?
Yes.
Yeah, Silent Night. Yeah,
Silent Night. I think. Yeah.
It's on my to watch list again here. All right, Willie. Well, thanks for coming in and joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week.
All right, folks. We're out of time. We got to go. Be kind, love one another, live well. The Michael Duke Show.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show. Welcome.